and stopping by the carne asada for a few minutes. Current Los Angeles Dodger relief pitcher and local savage is what we're going to call him because he's underrated. Evan Phillips. Evan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
No, thank you. We appreciate the time. I wanted to start with that. You have flown so far under the radar that it's borderline criminal because you've been so lights out as well. How have you been able to maintain just that incognito, just just kind of resume without really even ruffling anyone's feathers?
I think I'm a relatively unassuming guy. I don't think I carry like a big personality out there on the mound or anything. So maybe it has something to do with that. But I've just really been taking the day by day approach, just continuing to try to build, upon each outing, and it's been carrying one into another. So it's been a great ride so far, but still hoping to finish strong.
Yeah, absolutely, and to say the least, I mean, right now you're doing okay. You have a 1.34 ERA, and you're out here just killing it. So with that said, though, there it's been with a little bit adversity, right? You wind up with the Dodgers after being released by the Orioles and also by the Tampa Bay Rays. What was it with the Dodgers that's just kind of been able to get the best out of Evan Phillips, the Phillips that we see now, Evan Phillips we see now?
I think the Dodgers really just they set me on to some things on the mound that I wasn't really didn't really have the guidance to with some of the other teams I've been with, and I think a lot of that started with just throwing my slider a lot more. I have a pretty unique slider, and being able to they've been challenging me to throw that in the zone and out of the zone, and really I'm throwing it now more than I've ever thrown in my career. And then moving into this season where we added a cutter and also a sinker, so just a little bit more unpredictability with the hitters. And then they really the biggest thing is they challenge me to just go compete every single day and continue to buy into what the plan is. And things have been really great. So far it's been about a full year now since I've been with the Dodgers, and it's been everything I could have asked for.
Well, with that, Alysha has some congratulations for you. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Alysha.
we were just discussing it's your anniversary, Evan. Happy anniversary on being with the Dodgers almost a year. And you were just talking dirty to Alonso because he loves the pitching talk. Anything about pitching, sliders, like you. But I want to talk a little bit about you being with the Dodgers. Here at Bleed Los Podcast, we are the only Latino podcast talking about the Dodgers and LA and our culture. What are you loving? What's your favorite thing about playing with the organization, about being in Los Angeles? I want to know about a little bit about your lifestyle behind the scenes.
Yeah, sure. Los Angeles it's totally different than what I had growing up. I'm from the East Coast, small town outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. So Los Angeles brings a bunch of different culture, bunch of different experiences my wife and I have been able to do together. So it's been one wild journey. My favorite thing about being with the Dodgers is definitely Dodger Stadium. It's so unique and unlike any other, and just to see the fans roll in there every single game to cheer us on. Doesn't matter if it's a Monday night, Saturday night, Giants are in town or whoever, it doesn't matter. Dodgers fans always show up and pull for their team.
I love that. I love that. Right? It doesn't every night feel like a sellout. That
Oh yeah,
said,
absolutely.
right? I love it. Thank you for that. What about the mariachis? What's your opinion? Are you liking the mariachis? Because this is something we ask all of our guests.
Yeah, it's funny because I've become used to it at this point, and I love it. I really enjoy it, but it's really fun to see how other teams react to it because I think it probably catches them off guard, to see the mariachis out there in the outfield. So I enjoy it, and every time they come on the big screen and they start playing, we all get up and cheer them on, and it's to watch the fans react and stuff. It's so enjoyable for everybody.
Hey, Evan, real quick. Sorry to cut you off. Could you put your AirPods back in the case and then take them out because they're being staticky?
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
The one time that we have technical difficulties. The
I
one time.
know.
How's that?
Uh,
Testing.
say something again. I'm sorry.
Say something.
Ah, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So
Totally fine.
Yeah, you're a good sport. Thank you, Evan. And so,
Sure.
what was that about the mariachis being like a secret weapon against other teams?
Yeah, I think it's super unique because the other teams probably don't anticipate to see that coming into Dodger Stadium, and then all of a sudden they start playing, in the second inning and then throughout the rest of the game. And I think they probably really enjoy it because I'm telling you, it's unique. I don't think any other team does that. So for the opponents to come in and see a little bit of the how unique Dodger Stadium can be, I think it's super special.
I love it. Juan, are you satisfied with that answer?
I'm more satisfied with that answer than Walker. Walker Bueller. So far, Evan, we've talked to Muncie, we've talked to Justin Turner. Everybody's like you. Everybody loves the mariachi. Walker, I guess maybe Walker's just the only one who's bluntly honest and was just like, "Hey, look, I grew up in Kentucky. I'm not used to it."
Okay,
But
right.
I appreciate that. But if you could, get on Walker's case about that, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I might have to. That's unbelievable.
So let me ask you this, Evan. How active are you on social media? Are you aware of everything that's going on and being said about you?
I don't really dig too much into what's being said about me personally. I do try to have a decent reach through Instagram and Twitter. That way I can interact with some fans. But, I try to just stay level headed because, all the outside noise and any external factor, it's really has no meaning towards, what I'm doing on the mound and what's ahead of us as a team.
So did your Twitter or Instagram blow up last night because of the story Joe Davis told about your wife's sweater? Because all of a sudden everyone wants to know what happened with this sweater. Where is this sweater? Did you wake up to that this morning?
Yeah, so my wife and I were actually talking about that last night, and what's so interesting is that, when Fabian asked me about, that journey, that sweater, that story about the sweater just popped into my mind. But I tell you, I haven't thought about that sweater and doing that and walking through the stadium since it happened, and neither had my wife. Like, that story had completely left us. So for whatever reason, it popped back up into my mind, and I, reminded my wife about it, and we never found the sweater, is truth be told. So lost and found, didn't have it. It was like a nice like Lululemon sweater or something, and I think she left it in the seat. So we tried to like go back down to the section. Maybe it fell underneath, but unfortunately, lost and found, didn't have it. No one reported it missing or anything. So unfortunately, we just cut our losses with the sweater.
That was, Nomar put it out there. What happened to the sweater? And so, for all our listeners out there who desperately wanted to know what happened to the sweater, there it was never found. But Evan, tell me the truth. How pissed were you at your wife for making you go back? Because this was at Target Field, right? The next day, going through all the stands looking for that sweater.
I wasn't really upset about it. I was more upset about losing the sweater that we had just purchased, because now she's going to need a new one. Because it's a little chilly in Minnesota. I don't care if it's midsummer. So that was more of the frustration. But fortunately, the hotel we were staying at was right across the street. We were on our way back from lunch, so we were like, all right, let's just stop through, look through Lost and Found, see if we can find it. But it was pretty surreal to watch BP happen from the concourse. I don't think I've done that as a professional, so that was definitely an interesting and somewhat of an awkward feeling, knowing my position at that time was on waivers, and my what was next for me was definitely up in the air.
So you mentioned you grew up in North Carolina, or you're from North Carolina. I was not aware when I went to Baltimore how close Baltimore is to the Mason-Dixon line. I just assumed it was definitely East Coast. So the Orioles were your team growing up, right? That's who you rooted for? So
yeah, I was born in Maryland.
So in that same story that you talked about, that Fabian, a friend of the Carne Asada, interviewed you, you used to imitate Cal Ripken. I was a huge Cal Ripken fan. I know out here in the West Coast, but I just love Ripken because of the fact that that guy would show up every day. It is obvious that no one's going to touch that record. So I have two questions for you. One, where were you when Ripken broke Lou Gehrig's consecutive games played streak? And two, is Freddie Freeman trying to break that record? I mean, the guy just won't take a game off.
Yeah, I don't know if Freddie has like an open goal to reach that mark, but what Freddie does, day in and day out, I've heard him talk about it many times. He says his job is to play baseball, so that's what he intends to do. And I think it's it's wonderful to have a teammate that cares that much about being on the field and producing every single day. especially in this modern era where, days off are calculated and, workloads are calculated. So it's hard to convince, your manager or the front office to let you play every single game. But, hats off to him for giving it a try. And, when it comes to Cal Ripken breaking the streak, I was going to say I was a little too young to appreciate how good he was as a ball player. He was like an idol in my eyes, like someone I knew, wore number 8 for the Baltimore Orioles and played shortstop. But honestly, I don't remember where I was when he broke the streak. I would imagine my dad sat me down in front of the TV and we watched it. But I can't give you too many more details than that.
The only reason I ask it is because I know exactly where I was, because my compadre and I, after school, made it a point to go to the pizza place to watch Ripken break this record because we were just huge baseball fans. Alonso, Alysha,
awesome.
Do you guys remember where you guys were when that happened?
I do not. I'm
I don't.
sorry. I'm sorry, Alonso.
I guess I'm the only Cal Ripken fan over here, and that's why it was important for me.
But in my humble defense, I'm significantly younger than you, so that's probably why.
There we go. There, I threw that one up there. Go ahead, you
like-
ageist. Go ahead, ageist.
I mean, and also in Evan's defense, he's also significantly younger than me, so it's a push. Juan, don't take it so personal.
I'm just trying to show Cal Ripken love, guys. That's all. Come on.
Well, and there's somebody else that I think we should give love to, because I feel like he's been a little unfairly treated too. David Price, who has had a huge impact with everyone out in that bullpen. As you know, the bullpen, in my opinion, is the place to hang out during a game because it's just where all the action is. I'm sure there's a lot of seed football still going on out there. But anyway, David Price, how important has he been for this core of the bullpen that's had kind of there's the consistent points, but also ups and downs as everyone kind of threw out in a microcosm yesterday. How important has David been?
Yeah, David, he's just the kind of guy that down in the bullpen, he meshes well with everybody. He's there for guidance. He's there, as a friend. He's there if you need to talk to him about anything. And, we really couldn't ask for a better, one, a role model down there, but two, a leader, someone to lead some of the younger guys down there. And, he's definitely towards, the later end of his career, but he would tell you that he still loves to go out there and compete. He still loves to go out there and help the team win. And I think, it's really, so valuable for this team to have a piece that can step in and fill a role when we need him to.
Absolutely. And I mean, we here at the Bleed Los podcast, we're also about giving people flowers. David Price deserves his flowers. He's one of the best of this era, and I feel like that kind of flies under the radar too. So kudos to David. But before we set you loose, we have a very important question. Are you a flour or a corn tortilla guy?
I do both, So my wife and I, we do Taco Tuesday every single week when we go back home for the off season, and I mix it up because you can do tacos so many different ways. So whether like we tried to do like local street tacos one night, and then we do your more so Americanized versions and whatnot. But my wife really likes the corn, and I will say I prefer the flour, but I don't really have a strong feeling either way. I do enjoy both in just different circumstances.
Juan?
Wow, that's a civil war right there in the Phillips household. Because I have to say, your wife is a genius because she knows not to pick the oppressor's tortilla. Evan, you just went the oppressor's tortilla. But you know what? I trust your opinion in coffee. I hear you are a coffee connoisseur. Is that more your up your alley?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely no coffee snob by any means, but I just really enjoy it. I've enjoyed tasting different flavors, and my palate's really grown in that way. So kind of like some people enjoy wine or whiskeys, coffee is definitely my thing.
I'm not a coffee guy, Evan, but I will tell you this: Pete's Coffee has what's the Cuban coffee? What's the coffee that the Cubans drink?
Cafe. How do you say it?
Bustelo, Cafe
Bustelo.
Bustelo.
Is that what it is? They have
espresso.
I think it might be an espresso.
Yeah,
that's the only coffee I'll drink. They have something. It's called the Cuban something that Pete's has, and that's the only thing I'll drink. What other coffee could I drink that would turn me into a caffeine head? Because the only thing worse than a crackhead is a caffeine head, in my opinion. So convert me over to a caffeine head, Evan.
I think you could, in Los Angeles, there's a few places it's actually called Phil's. So Pete's versus Phil's. And I think Phil's is based out of the Bay Area. But they have a ton of different, coffee bean blends that you'll probably enjoy because they're a bit more flavorful in my opinion. They're not super strong, per se. But you could go there, and I would suggest like the Jacob's Wonder Bar from Phil's. I think it's like a nutty, chocolatey coffee, and but it's not like sweet or anything. So you still get the full, robust flavor of coffee, but it's just a little hint, of some flavor. I think you'd enjoy that.
Yay.
Wow. I think we might have to have a new segment on the show, right, Alysha, where we do coffee talk?
Wait. But do you pumpkin spice? Are you one of those, Evan? Because that's like a huge thing, right? Like
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I don't necessarily like discriminate against like the pumpkin spice lattes, the mocha drinkers, the frappuccinos. Like there's a place for all of it. If people get your caffeine however you need to.
That's a very diplomatic answer.
And just to clarify for everybody, I found my order at Pete's. It's a Havana cappuccino. That's the only coffee that actually tastes good to me and that I'll drink. The Havana cappuccino at Pete's.
That's your drink. Go
As
for it.
as a Toolies man myself, I appreciate the bean talk. That was Evan Phillips with coffee in cars with relief pitchers. If you're not following him, go give him a follow. Evan_Phillips33. I'm gonna go do that on Instagram. Go give him a follow. And Evan, thank you so much for stopping by for a few minutes.
Thank you, Evan.
And hopefully we can do it again. But regardless, best of luck the rest of the way, and keep killing it quietly, of course.
Right. Stout.
Of course, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, Evan.